Hi, welcome to Shelf Starters. Today we're talking about Julian of Norwich, who is a
Hi,
woman.
Rose. Who's what? An anchoress.
A woman.
Yeah, a woman and an anchoress,
Mm-hmm.
which is great because we did read about the anchorage and what that was like. And now we have a little
so now we actually hear one.
Yeah.
This is not one I was excited to read.
No.
Because
well, it has to be a fairly somber and dour kind of arrangement, doesn't it? You've decided to marry yourself to a hermit life.
Live in a cell.
Live in a cell, literally an actual cell where people can look in at you, but you don't. That's it.
Yeah. I think it's just like it combines two things that are not typically things that I like that much, which is religion and biography. So I was not particularly thrilled to get to this one, but it actually surprised me. It was actually pretty interesting. I wouldn't say it was
interesting. I mean, she says some wild and crazy things, like pretty much.
So
basically, the whole thing is about wishing to be dead, because if you were dead, it would be so much better because you'll be that much closer to Christ and God, and therefore, all of everything would be worthwhile. And she doesn't fear pain because of her belief in the mercy of Christ.
She actually wants pain because actually, this is a bit a friend from the Middle Ages
kind of girl, and and this is a very
to be closer to Christ's suffering. So she wants to feel
more
something
better.
Like,
and her poetry, as they call it, poetry, which is interesting, isn't it? Is in fact that's the style where you make the affective poetry, where you make the reader really, really feel what you're writing about. So feel what you're feeling when you write. And you do get that, don't you think? I mean... Oh,
yeah. You can,
I mean, I
definitely
feel a cynic, and I couldn't help but feel moved.
Yes.
So, Rosie, I could say that maybe I can more relate to Julian of Norwich, given that we're in lockdown and we're like, we've been 3 months now, and
you're in isolation.
Yeah, totally. And I can get I get that vibe of what she was, living in a little bit, just because I have not seen anyone at all.
You've not seen the crucifix start bleeding or anything.
Okay, not bleeding, but the isolation and therefore the emphasis on what you can imagine is huge, because that's all there is. There is no real. Like, she doesn't.
There's a lot of thinking. So basically, we have to explain what actually happened. So this is a woman who gets really, really sick, and we're not sure at what point she became an anchoress. So she could have been really, really ill before she actually becomes an anchoress, or it could have been while she's in her health. But anyway, she's sick to the point of everyone thinks she's going to die.
And all we know is she's 30 and a half.
30 and a half.
Yeah.
Specific. Yeah. And it's
3 days and 3 nights being very violently ill. Or terribly ill. Not violently, terribly ill. But we don't know what the really is. Yeah.
We don't really know who she is yet. And we don't even know if Julian was her original name, or if she changed her name after the saint, because her church that she ends up being part of is named after Julian, Saint Julian. So so she has
when she's through this illness, she has a connection with Christ's suffering, and the visions occur.
Yeah, so she gets 16 visions.
Yeah.
Well, revelations, we'll say, because some of them are like physical visions, and then others are just like understanding, like spiritual understanding, rather than actually like seeing something. But she's just presented with an understanding.
Yes. Yeah.
So her first thing that she sees is the crucifix that she's looking at starts bleeding.
The blood. Don't visions just about always seem to start with that? The blood. I mean, that's I've ever read. I've read about visions before, and it's always that's the very first thing. I mean, obviously, it's the most violent, passionate, clear.
Yeah. But what I thought was really interesting is that her description of the blood and stuff that she's seeing is really violent, but everything else in this is really like methodical and like calm.
Yes. Yeah, I
So
know.
she actually wrote two versions of this. She wrote the short text, which is just her like outlining exactly what happened. That's it. And it's only about, in this version, it's only about like 30 pages of just purely saying what she saw, what she understood. Then she spends 15 years after the visions thinking about it, because there's nothing else to do in the cell. And she expands on it and like what she learned from each bit. And that's the longer text, which is where the extracts from the Norton are actually from.
Right. So there, yes, because then we start going, they've got a lot on the first vision. And then we jump to the 13th, a small amount, then the 14th. So it's all broken into parts. But basically it's the first, then 13th, 14th, and then the final vision that's in the North, which is, and the first vision is all about the red blood. And then, but then I thought then when she gets, no, sorry, that was, yes, it was from the first, but when she goes to that part, chapter 5, all creation as a hazelnut, like the kernel idea, that's kind of interesting. Yeah,
that everything is
kernel notion.
This small.
Yeah. Yeah. And we know that from like physics, but it's kind of interesting to read about that here.
Yeah.
In literature. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Basically, she's understanding that God has made everything.
Yeah.
And everything is small in comparison.
It's represented in this tiny little nut, basically.
Yeah. I guess the two biggest things that I got out of this is like the big things that she has understood is that this huge optimism about religion that is, yes, we're going to sin.
Turns.
But Christ doesn't actually blame us for that. In fact, sin is honored because of the redemption that you have to go through. So it's like this constant reassurance of like, don't worry, I've got you. What is his phrasing? He actually says like, I have you safe or something.
Yeah.
And it's like I am going to make sure that you go to heaven.
Yes.
So you will definitely go to heaven.
It doesn't matter because that's
it doesn't matter if you sin. Like humanity is blameless.
Yeah, and that's kind of, isn't it? That's what Christianity kind of rests on. That notion.
Yeah, but then there's so many different parts of Christianity and stuff, right? But like that's giving it that level of optimism, I don't think is that common in this period.
No. But and then pretty cool. What about the thing that struck me that I liked was when she said in that chapter 27, the 13th vision, when she's talking about sin. Yeah. She says, I just wonder why sin was kind of not prevented.
Yes. Exactly.
Why couldn't he just do that? And I'm
if God can do everything, why does he make sin a thing?
Yeah. And that's the question, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the question. Kind of and then the answer is sin is fitting, because without sin you don't understand good, I guess.
I know, but it is the question we all ask.
But it's all going to be fine.
That's what every little kid asks. Well, how come? Yeah. So it's kind of
God is so good. Why is there evil in the world?
Yes. So she asked that. I've often wondered, though. That's the way she phrases it. I've often wondered. Yeah. And then how about when she turns into talking about Jesus as mother, and she uses this metaphor of mother and nurturing? This is good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, especially since, did you know, I'm not sure if it makes it extremely clear in the Norton or not, but Julian is the first record that we have of women's writing in English. I
don't know that I kind of even took that on board.
Yeah, this is the first piece of writing that can be definitely identified as coming from a woman in English. It's pretty cool.
Wow. No,
so
I don't along with that much was made of that.
Yeah, that's interesting. It was in the introduction to this version, but so I think that's really interesting, because then she goes into this whole thing about Christ is, we all accept that Christ is Father, like God is Father.
But she says
also God is Mother.
It's like a mothering role, which is right. It's kind of it's a whole birth concept, and that's right. Mm-hmm. So she labels that, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, that was the thing I liked kind of the most.
Yeah, that was the really exciting part, because it's sort of like early feminism in a sense.
Well, really early.
So it can be read that way.
1300s early, yeah. And it was, really, that's right. Very interesting.
And it's saying both on the sides that if Jesus doesn't have an answer for you straight away, if you have a problem and it's not immediately solved, it's like when a mother is challenging their child to do something themselves, and then the other way around, like the mothers also are nurturing and look after you, and Jesus also does the same. So it has like the mother may lay her child tenderly to her breast, and Jesus does that into his blessed breast by his sweet open side, and shows the joys of heaven and bliss.
It is a really, really great expression of absolute love.
I thought it was really, like, it was very positive. The whole thing is just really positive.
Yes, and she's very extremely, extremely sure of herself. Like,
she's very sure in her religion, but in a way that she's never. Another thing that was really cool in the way that she wrote it is she's so humble. She's very so humble. Like extremely humble. So she's received all of these visions, which coming from her man would have been like, look at me, I've received all these visions. But Julian goes, I understand that I'm in a privileged position to have received this. But instead of it being all about me, I'm going to take this as a sign that I am supposed to share this with Christianity, because we're all in this together. And I know that God wants everyone to experience this as well.
Yeah. She's very, very generous. That's true.
And she's always questioning her role in it as well. And she actually has a part where she says, I know I'm a woman.
Yes.
But still, I still think it's important to get this message out, which is interesting. Especially because we know that the anchoresses as well were not supposed to, like, they're supposed to give advice, but not in a way that's like too much authority.
No, there
was that whole thing about like
community is massively important. Yeah. What did you think about the ending, Rosie? The final one.
Just that it's all about love. That was basically the conclusion, right?
Yeah, but this bit, 15 years after and more, I was answered. In ghostly understanding, saying thus, what wouldst thou wit thy Lord's meaning in this thing? Wit it well, love was his meaning. Who showeth it thee love? What showeth thee love? Wherefore showeth he? For love. I thought that was actually really beautiful.
Summarizing.
But thou shalt never wit therein other without an end. And what I thought was really amazing was when the line earlier on, which is very much along these lines, which was quoted by T.S. Eliot. That whole idea in his preludes. I think it was his preludes. Yeah. So it's that, when he had that world without end and that whole turning. Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, she's been quoted by quite a few people. That was mentioned in the introduction. This introduction was really good. Helped me a lot with understanding what we were talking about. But towards the end, it does talk about how it has been referenced many times by other like modern people,
which I would have just read and not known.
Yates, May Sinclair, Charles Williams, Iris Murdoch's novels.
Really,
it's the sin is behovely thing. That's all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. That quote is in a lot of works of literature, which is pretty cool.
It's really amazing.
And then this is going to be referenced in Marjorie Kemp, which is the next one that we're doing, because I think, it's hard because we haven't actually gotten to Marjorie yet, but my understanding is that Marjorie was a woman at the same time as Julian, heard about Julian's revelations and goes to visit her. And it's through Marjorie's account as well that we know that, that we get confirmation that this did actually happen, or that Julian did actually write this. It wasn't written by a man. It was in fact written by Julian, because when Marjorie talks about the dialogue that she had with Julian, you can see the very similar phrasing. Yeah. So it does sound like it was actually the same thing. Yeah.
The difference is that Marjorie's piece is much more, it's very biographical, but it's an outside life, isn't it?
Yeah, she's not an anchoress, so that's going to be interesting.
So it's kind of interesting for us to look at an outside life next to the anchoress life. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she gets married and she has a child.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting for us, I think.
Yeah. To be excited to read that one.
In fact, I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she takes a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, doesn't she? I think.
Ah, right. Yes,
Which is pretty huge.
So she takes a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, and she also goes to visit the Empress. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
so
for her.
that will be really good for us after having read Julian.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, I'm quite impressed with myself because honestly, this was not something I thought I would really like at all, but I got through it and it was not that bad. So I think that's an achievement.
Again, as we've been saying a lot, if we were just tasked with, let's go to a library and find something to read.
Oh, you'd never choose this.
No, this would be this would be on the shelf where you go, oh, scary shelf, and I'll go somewhere else. But it's so good when you read it because it's not hard actually at all. It is accessible, and it's
it's accessible. It's just that
it's really, really interesting. It really kind of, and you don't realize, oh, all the things I didn't know, all the references I hadn't realized. Nice. Yeah. I enjoy it.
1373.
I know. It's hard to actually wrap your mind around that.
Yeah.
Not hard.
Pretty cool one, that.
Yep. So then we'll go to Marjorie. And then after Marjorie, what happens, Rosie?
After Marjorie, we go to a mystery play, I think.
I thought that's where we were going, which that would be good. Yeah.
York play of the Crucifixion. We didn't talk about the Crucifixion lyrics that we also read. I didn't really have that much to say about them.
Oh.
The Incarnation and Crucifixion lyrics.
Yep.
Except the only thing that I really had to say about them was just that I kind of like that in keeping with the Middle Ages kind of stuff that we've seen happening, that they make Jesus like a knight.
Yes.
I quite like that. But then otherwise, like I really didn't have much to say about it. It kind of they read like little hymns.
They're like very much like little hymns, and again we've got the blood thing.
Yeah.
We always have blood.
And a lot of praise of Mary.
Yeah.
Virgin Mary.
Yep.
Yeah. So cool, but yeah.
No, but tiny. They're tiny as well. So yes.
Yeah.
Not
right.
dense as Julian. But yeah, no, look, good read.
Yeah.
Glad we
did that.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. And yeah, let us know if you did attempt this one, or if you've even heard of Julian of Norwich before. I don't know, I hadn't before we did this.
Right.
And we'll see you again next time. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.